Hello, Bobby Torres of Frightbox recording here to share with you 3 sneaky bass mixing tricks that can really help take your productions to the next level. Now, a lot of times in metal, we focus on drum tones, guitar tones especially, but there's a whole lot of value that can be added to your production by manipulating bass guitar in the right way. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 techniques that I rarely hear people talk about. Hello, Bobby Torres from the future here. I just wanted to cut in and apologize for the poor quality of my voice within this video. I'm an idiot and forgot to clip my lavalier mic onto my shirt. Hopefully you find the video informative nonetheless. See you soon. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to play an audio sample back, and then I'm going to dissect and show you exactly what's happening to the bass guitar within this mix. And I'm willing to bet that a few of these things you probably have never even thought of. So let's check it out. Okay, so within this mix, there's a ton of different stuff happening. There are clean vocals, scream vocals, melodic parts, brutal parts. It's just all over the place. So I was really forced to dial in a bass tone that worked with all of these different elements, all while still being heard. In other words, I didn't just bury the bass guitar. Now, if you're anything like me, you probably hate listening to productions where you can't even hear the bass. This is just my opinion. There are producers and even artists that prefer this kind of sound. I like hearing what the bass guitar is doing. So with that being said, let's dive in and see how I'm achieving this bass tone that's working with all of these different parts. So if we look here, I have 3 tracks. This last track is just a VCA controller. It has nothing to do with sound. It's just there to control the level of my drums and bass guitar. So in reality, as far as bass guitar is concerned, I only have 2 tracks. One is my main bass guitar sound, and the other one is a heavily filtered, distorted version of the bass DI. And just to show you how extreme I'm talking here, this is what my EQ is on that actual track. I'm filtering on everything below 800 Hertz and everything above 4K. Now, if this technique is new to you and it's just really alien and strange, I will leave a link below in this video's description where you could check out a video where I cover this topic in great detail. The video covers how I use a mid-range saturation in conjunction with my main bass sound to help the bass sound cut through the mix and to be heard on smaller speakers. Now, this technique is pretty much standard practice as far as metal production is concerned, so I won't be covering that too much within this video. Again, I have covered it in the past, and there's a link to that video in this video's description. So with all that being said, let's go over the 3 sneaky bass mixing tricks that I'm using in this song. Trick number 1, using a chorus effect only on my bass's mid-range. Now you might be wondering, why the hell would you do that? I'm going to explain to you why. I wanted to add character to the bass and help it stand out in a way that isn't intrusive to the mix as a whole. In other words, I didn't want the bass conflicting with the guitars, but I wanted something there to help it stand out. Let's listen to what my main bass sound sounds like. So as you can tell, it's a very warm bass tone. That would never cut through in a million years. So what I decided to do, as per usual, was implement the usual technique of filtering out a bass DI, adding the distortion, and blending it in. But I decided in this mix to take it a step further. And what I've done here is I've added a chorus to the bass tone. Let's hear the result. So for this particular production, in my opinion, it makes the tone even more gnarly. Now, adding chorus and flange to bass guitar is nothing new. Guys like Andy Wallace have been doing it for decades. And it's not something that I do all of the time, but when I do want to add extra grind and character to my bass tone, I usually apply it to my bass mid-range only. Again, so I have my main bass tone. And then I take my filtered bass with the distortion and the chorus and blend that into taste, and it adds a nice character to my bass tone. So if you're looking to add a little something extra to your bass guitar, try adding chorus or flange to the mid-range only. If it's a production that's like this, that's really heavy and crazy, I think you might dig the results. And this leads me to sneaky trick number 2, using a guitar amp sim plugin on your bass DI. And in this case, it's the filter version of the bass DI. Now yes, you can use a bass amp sim or even a distortion plugin, but in a situation like this where I want the bass to sound extra grindy and I want it to sit along nicely with the guitars, an actual guitar amp sim will do the job even better in my opinion. And in this case, I'm just using the Waves GTR amp sim. So let's take a listen to what that's doing. So as you could probably tell, much like the bass chorus, it's really helped adding that grit and dirt to my bass sound that really fits this production well. So again, if you want to help your bass guitar cut through a mix and basic distortion isn't working, or like a bass distortion pedal or something like that isn't working, try a guitar amp sim plugin only on your bass mid-range. Okay, this brings me to tip number 3, which is my personal favorite. One of the most common questions I get from people that are a little more advanced that have been mixing for a while, they'll say to me, okay, yeah, I'm using bass distortion on only the mid-range, but the problem I'm having is that it doesn't fit all sections of the song. Or sometimes they want more distortion or less distortion. And my solution to this is so simple, you won't even believe it. One of the biggest problems with mixing in a computer or in the box and not mixing on an analog console is that we forget that we can automate stuff. When you mix on an analog console, you're much more inclined to actually move the faders, but when we mix in computers, we kind of have a static mindset. In other words, we kind of set faders where they are and we forget it. This is a huge mistake, believe me. There's a ton of life and character that you could breathe into your mixes by using simple volume automation. And I have a real-world example here on how I'm implementing it within my bass guitar tone. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the breakdown section once more, and I'm gonna show you what I'm doing to my bass guitar tone only in the second half of the breakdown. Let's check it out. Okay, so when she comes in with the screaming on the second half of the breakdown, I wanted that part to sound super, super heavy. And I didn't achieve it by turning up my guitars or doing anything crazy with the drums. I did it by manipulating the volume on my bass mid-range. Super simple. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the same exact section back, but with only the bass and drums happening. And pay close attention to the bass mid-range on the second half of the breakdown. Okay, if you look here, it's super simple. I have some automation happening where I'm just boosting the bass mid-range by a few dB only on the second half of the breakdown. And when the chorus kicks in, the bass mid-range is sat back to its normal level. So again, just because you're adding this bass distortion track doesn't mean it has to sit at the exact same level throughout the duration of your song. As a matter of fact, this goes for any track. Remember, everything is movable, and all great mixers treat their mixes as if they're playing an actual instrument. I really love this particular tip because again, it's something that most people don't think of. Believe me, I neglected volume automation for years, almost 5 years of my mixing career. And it's a huge mistake. Automation is your friend. So hopefully you found these 3 sneaky metal-based mixing tricks informative. Me personally, when I started implementing these tricks, they made a massive difference on my mixes, and hopefully they will do the same for you. So I'm curious to know, have you used any of these tricks that I just shared in this video? Are they completely new to you? Leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know of your opinion. I'd love to hear it. If you found this video helpful, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And do not forget to click the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload one of my weekly videos on all things metal and rock production. You can both like and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Links are in the description below. And be sure to download my free guitar cab impulse response. There's a link below in this video's description. Download the IR, load it into your amp sim plugin, and get right to dialing in killer metal guitar tones with ease. Again, there's a link to the free impulse response right below in this video's description. Till next time, happy mixing.